Two popular procedurals from the 2010s, White Collar and Suits, are fortunately being rebooted, but one is taking on a bigger risk than the other. Both the Suits and White Collar reboots have been some of the most anticipated projects ever since their announcements in 2024 and 2025, respectively, due to both series receiving an increase in attention after coming to Netflix. While Suits reboot is simply awaiting its premiere, updates on the White Collar revival have been minimal, though that has not lessened the excitement from audiences who love the procedural. The continuation of both of these stories is great news for those who love both shows. Despite being different types of procedurals, Suits and White Collar each had strong characters and storylines that made them fascinating to watch. That being said, Suits and White Collar's differences in story direction and their real-life timelines have resulted in two varying approaches to their upcoming revivals. White Collar, Renaissance is a proper reboot, while Suits is returning as a spin-off called Suits, LA. Suits is getting a spin-off, White Collar will be getting a reboot. Suits, LA will premiere on NBC while White Collar's reboot is shopped around. Stephen Amell as Ted Black standing in front of a window in Suits LA. Suits spin-off contrasts with White Collar's revival, which will be a full reboot of the series rather than a continuation with new characters like Suits LA. As mentioned, little has been shared about White Collar, Renaissance beyond the name, and that many of the original cast members, including Matt Bomer and Tim DeKay, will be returning for the reboot. However, Disney recently passed on White Collar's reboot, forcing the series to shop for a new network and possibly delaying the project, a stark parallel to Suits, LA. After being greenlit, Suits spin-off immediately began filming in November 2024, casting several well-known actors, including Stephen Amell, for its main group of characters. NBC scheduled the series for its mid-season slate in 2025, shortly after filming on the show wrapped, showcasing various teasers and the announcement that Gabriel Mark's Harvey Specter would be returning for a cameo appearance in 3 episodes. Even with the rapid development of the law procedural, though, Suits, LA is not meant to act as Season 10 of Suits. Why Suits is returning with a spin-off instead of Suits Season 10? Suits finale and original spin-off factored into the decision. Suits' original story plan and the unfortunate failure of its first branching series factored into the decision to make a spin-off over a reboot, contrasting some aspects of White Collar's journey. Suits was only contracted for 9 seasons by USA Networks at the time of its initial run. This setup was made more difficult by the departure of many key actors, including Patrick J. Adams and Meghan Markle. Those departures, alongside of Pearson's abrupt cancellation, only seemed to add to the decision to do a spin-off over a revival once the series regained popularity. Pearson's focus on Jessica Pearson, Gina Torres, appeared to be a strong way to continue Suits' story through an established character. Sadly, Pearson was cancelled after 1 season, leaving the franchise stagnant for 4 years before being picked up again. Suits was still unable to commit to a revival, as many of the original cast members were unable to return, though Harvey Specter's cameo in Suits, LA is highly anticipated. White Collar's cast may not have faced those same issues, but doing a revival over a spin-off poses its own risks to the show's legacy. White Collar's new show is taking a bigger risk than Suits. The reboot may risk the show's legacy. Neil walks the streets of Paris in White Collar. In order to properly complete its narrative, White Collar, Renaissance may change the original show, risking the series' legacy in a way Suits spin-off does not. White Collar's ending left the story fairly open-ended as Neil Caffrey, Matt Bomer, escaped to Paris, allowing for both a proper sense of closure and the possibility of a return should one present itself. Though the reboot could explore how that time apart has affected the characters, it could also ruin aspects of the original's ending if not done correctly. While it is exciting to have these characters return and continue their stories, there is a risk to the legacy of that series if details are changed or not considered properly, warping aspects of the ending. A spin-off, unlike a reboot, can stand on its own. It can expand the overall world but keep the ending intact, as the events of the spin-off do not affect the original. That approach works better for Suits, allowing its closed ending to remain intact as White Collar potentially risks its own, much like its protagonist, with one last gamble.